let's talk about that weight during perimenopause and menopause. If you're watching this, the title probably attracted you because you may have an issue with it, or somebody you know or love may have an issue with it. And this is a big struggle for a lot of women going through this phase. I deal with this every day. Every day. I hear it all the time. I'm Joya Vanderlaan. I'm a functional medicine nurse practitioner. I do a lot of functional regenerative medicine, hormone balancing, and hormone replacement in my patients, and just see lives changed, and I couldn't love it more. Weight gain is only one of the symptoms that happens during menopause and perimenopause, but it can be one of the more frustrating and one of the more hard to treat symptoms that happens during menopause and perimenopause. Perimenopause, in case you're unfamiliar, is that period of time before actual menopause that can be up to 10 years before you actually go through menopause, so easily starting in your 40s for women. That is a time of hormone change and kind of unpredictability and frustration. Things like weight gain and libido decreases, vaginal dryness, brain fog, depression, anxiety, sleep problems, all sorts of things that are not very pleasant and are not conducive to a happy and calm and peaceful life. So we need to address these, not only for the symptoms now, but also treatment for the hormone disruption and hormone deficiencies that can happen in perimenopause, set you up for prevention of heart disease, osteoporosis, Alzheimer's, other dementias. So we really want to treat the symptoms now and prevent problems later. When women start to experience perimenopause, which we don't know exactly when that starts, often women can look back and say, oh, yeah, my period started to get closer together or heavier, or I started to have this or that symptom. And we can look back and make it pretty clear that that was perimenopause. When that happens, when our hormones start to shift and increase and decrease and kind of go haywire a little bit during that time, our fat metabolism changes, our muscle mass changes, our insulin resistance even changes. And that is one of the big things, is insulin resistance. Estrogen, normal estrogen levels, robust estrogen levels, promote insulin sensitivity. When we lose our estrogen, or our estrogen levels go all over the place, we tend to become insulin resistant, which means all sorts of other things are affected. So the food that we eat is no longer behaving in our bodies the way that it used to. You could have eaten a certain way in your 30s and been totally fine and maintained a lean, muscular, low fat body type. But even with the exercise and the way you're eating now, same way, your body can be handling those calories and that energy differently and storing it differently and having a harder time, because with decreased estrogen, you may be becoming insulin resistant. And then we have the cortisol. The cortisol can be going up and down. Cortisol is one of our stress hormones. Well, guess what is a stressor? Imbalanced hormones, and hormones going up and down. So no wonder we feel like we're going crazy. Our hormones are all over the place and we're missing things we need. And it's not predictable even from day to day. It's not a straight decline, especially with estrogen. It kind of goes like this. So we really need to have, well, as a patient, you really want to have somebody who understands what's going on in your body, can help treat you through it and acknowledge your symptoms and help you live the happiest, best perimenopause and menopause years that you could hope for. And it is possible. So what else can you do besides, investing in an expert, which is worth it, and you have to start somewhere. So diet is the first place. Now, I'm not going to tell you just diet and exercise and you'll be fine, right? That you've heard that 100 times. Well, what does that mean? What should you do concretely? What should you do? So number one, fiber. At least 25 grams of fiber per day. I get my fiber from things like chia seeds, hemp seeds, lots of veggies, very little from whole grains, but more from kind of whole foods, plant-based sources. Protein. This is not the first time you're hearing somebody tell you you should eat protein. Muscle mass is the currency of aging. And if you do not have healthy muscle mass, you will not age in a healthy way. It is the number one indicator of healthy, vital aging. We need muscle. In order to make muscle and maintain muscle, we need protein, and we also need muscle building exercises. So those two things. Protein. How much protein should you have? Well, that depends. What you want to to understand is what your ideal body weight is. If you're 20 pounds overweight right now, then you want to subtract 20 from your current weight. For example, if you weigh 150 pounds, but your ideal weight is 130 pounds, you should be getting 130 grams per day of protein, ideally from a wide variety of sources, including animal sources, clean animal sources, organic, grass-fed, wild-caught, pastured. Look for those kinds of words on your animal protein. Plant sources are okay also, but it can be very hard to get enough protein from plant sources alone. So I always encourage a mix unless there's a very important reason not to, religious reasons or health reasons, rare health reasons. Physical activity. The type of physical activity that we do best with often will change somewhere around 35 or 40. Whereas before, the high intensity interval training and the boot camp style workouts did our bodies really good. Now we turn 35 and 40 and those workouts are not working anymore. Please do not do those more times per week and think that that is going to be the solution. You are going to be disappointed. What we need to do is focus more on muscle building exercise. Muscle, again, is the currency of aging. Muscle also helps with our metabolism, with our insulin resistance or insulin sensitivity, and helps maintain lean muscle mass and staves off the fat for multiple reasons. So we really need to be doing muscle building, muscle preserving exercises. Stress management. I sort of hate talking about stress management because I think it's one of the most difficult things to manage and to manage well, because guess what? You can't get rid of all your stresses. You can't, get rid of your kids if they're stressing you out, or, you can't quit your job if that's stressing you out. So often what it comes down to is reframing how we view our stresses. Can we let it go? Can we change something about how we are choosing to think about the stress or react to the stress? Yes, we can. It's hard, but we can. And certainly there are other things that we can do, including exercise, including good sleep, getting good diet. Maybe it is meditating or yoga, however cliche that sounds. Maybe it's making a healthy meal for your family that is part of stress management for you. I know that is for me. I feel really good when I have cooked a really healthy meal and everybody likes it. That's great for me. So it's very individual per person. And so stress management, very individual. That's all I'll say about that. Then sleep. Sleep is huge. I often tell my patients, if you're not sleeping, nothing else we do is going to be as impactful, because sleep is so foundational. Sleep is how we regenerate and recover overnight. We produce our growth hormone when we sleep at night. We give our adrenals a break and kind of reset our cortisol overnight. We detox overnight. All sorts of things happen when we get good quality sleep. So good sleep hygiene habits, magnesium or melatonin or glycine, or figure out what you need with nutritional testing to help you get sleeping. Work with somebody who has dealt with this hundreds of times and get their eyes on it in order to help you sleep. But sleep is a non-negotiable. I'd rather not drug people into sleeping, although I have in important and severe cases. We sometimes have to do that in the meantime while we get everything else sorted out. But sleep is super, super important. So we need to prioritize that. As a functional medicine provider, what I always want to do is look for underlying causes. And even if we look for them and none of them are there, at least we know they're not there. Now, we find something most of the time. We can do nutritional testing and hormone testing and stool testing. The gut has a lot to do with weight management and body composition and even hormones, mood, let alone the digestion, which is obvious. So we want to know and understand what pieces of the puzzle are out of whack and where we can make good changes to impact all of your areas of health: sleep and nutrition and exercise and hunger and diet, all of those things. I will sometimes use GLP-1s in people who are having trouble losing weight. And these are really wonderful. I dose them quite low, microdosing even sometimes. And really the dose is individual on a patient by patient basis. So I am not following the everybody starts at one dose and everybody gets increased to the next dose as long as they didn't, have terrible symptoms on the first dose. Really, I start people low and increase very slowly so that we understand what the least effective dose is for each patient. Now, I have 3 requirements when somebody's on a GLP-1, like semaglutide, Ozempic, Wegovy, Zepbound, tirzepatide. Those are all GLP-1s. You need to prioritize protein and produce. You need to prioritize weight lifting or muscle building exercises, and you need to make sure that you're aware of creating good habits while you're on this GLP-1 because you have reduced cravings. And so this is the perfect time to eliminate that bedtime snack or eliminate the unhealthy snacking between meals. So using this time to create good habits is a piece of the puzzle that I think is often missing. Everybody is different. And that is why a functional medicine and a uniquely crafted functional medicine plan is so important when you're having trouble like this. This is not a one-size-fits-all treatment. So that's what we do at Nourish House Calls. We spend a long time with each patient learning about them, learning about their history, learning about what their issues are, what they've tried, what's worked, what hasn't worked, even things like stress history. How does that play into this? And then we can develop a unique plan that's going to work for each person. Some are more intense than others, depending on what the person can handle at that time. We want everybody to be successful and feel successful, and sometimes that means starting out a little bit slower, and sometimes that means starting out a little bit more gung-ho. It just depends on the patient, and that's why we craft each plan individually for each individual patient. So here's my encouragement to you. If you're in perimenopause or menopause, please know that you can take control of this. Even if you've been told you can't, you can. There is help out there. I help people with this every day. And I love it because it is life-changing for these women and for their husbands, to be quite honest with you. So I would love to help you. And if it's not me, I just hope that you look into somebody, maybe in your area or somebody licensed in your state who is a prescriber, who's a licensed prescriber, who can help you with this in the right ways, in caring ways, in ways that you feel listened to and heard and helped. So if you'd like to enlist my help, I would be more than happy to help you because I love what I do. Feel free to book a discovery call and we can chat for 15 minutes for free. Just about what's going on with you and how we function. You may already know if you've been watching my videos, but how we can help and what our approach is. So I'd love to chat with you. You can book that discovery call either below with the link or on our website.